Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of
Ghetto.
My name is Hans,
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Or until we're cut out by some bad CGI or something, because that's not a thing.
Or like some deepfake tech, right? Where it totally replaces us and we don't even exist anymore.
Oh, I have a bunch of stuff on that, by the way, for next week.
Okay, awesome. For our unplanned episode.
Yeah.
If you are new to Gettle, welcome to one of the internet's best repositories for gaming, entertainment, technology, and lifestyle, news, reviews, previews, and information, all wrapped up in a wonderful...
Geeky treasure box. Oh, yeah, that's a new one.
Fair
Finally.
enough. Arr, me matey, arr.
Yeah.
Right, so welcome to Gettle 49, or Season 2, Episode 7. We have quite a, I always say lush, but let's go with delicious. Oh, actually, it's not even delish. A good episode. I mean, aren't they all, though?
Exactly.
As per usual, we're going to start with some reviews and previews before getting into delicious content, and then NSFW. Right, so, Ed, how are you doing?
Good. I'm actually very good for it.
Are you actually good this week?
I'm getting mildly decent sleep. I don't have any pain yet. Life is good. How about you?
That's good. I would imagine that things are not too bad on my side either. Sleep-wise, weirdly, I've been getting some good and bad sleep. But on the plus side, as I discussed with you earlier this week, I actually dreamt for a little bit. It's been quite some time since I've had a dream that I can actually remember. And better yet, it was a dream where I was flying. And it's been decades. No, not decades. I'm not that old. It's been a very long time since I could remember flying in a dream. So it was actually really lovely. And I was a superhero. I can't remember if I was a villain or not, but it was spectacular.
Most likely spurred on from a movie we saw last week.
Actually, more so a TV show that I'm going to talk about versus the movie, or maybe a mix of both. So it's good to know that you're good and I'm good. And with that in mind, let's get to some reviews and previews. As always, many of you know our regulars. Welcome back, bitches, by the way. You'll know that we always have these segments where we talk about what we're doing in our work lives because we run Famous.com. And with this in mind, Edward has been busy once again reviewing some interesting titles. Hey, Ed?
Yes. Yeah. Bunch of titles this week. Harvest Moon, for one. What words can I use to express my disappointment in a positive way?
Let's first go with what the fong is Harvest Moon. Because until I edited your review, I had no idea. And then it turns out that what it was supposed to be, it wasn't. So, tell us about that.
So, Harvest Moon is, if you've ever been on a Nintendo platform, you'll know exactly what it is.
I've been on Nintendo
for
like
some
a gajillion
Nintendo
years, and I don't know.
It's Harvest Moon One World is from a long-running game series franchise pertaining to farming simulators almost. The franchise is called Seasons of Spring. Stories of Seasons, something like that. Anyway, that doesn't matter because this game doesn't matter because this game is just not good. So
come now.
To be
you know what the real term is? What is the term?
It's disappointing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. It starts off well and good. You have this huge ass lore dump in the beginning. It's long. I can't recall how long it is, but I think it was a good 30 minutes that you just sit
long enough for you to be when is this over? Right?
Yes. Now to its credit, it has the tutorial sequence woven through it, where you learn how to interact with your food or something while your mom is speaking to you, giving you all this information. And then you're like set off into the world to go find these medallions owned by sprites by the harvest goddess. Now the idea is that the world has been dried up, I guess is the term, and agriculture just isn't a thing anymore. So
Hold on.
so you're
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a farming game.
Yes. So it sounds like the premise of a fantasy game.
The moment you were like, agriculture is not a thing anymore, I was like, hold up.
Yeah, like what's up? So the idea is that you need to find these medallions and these sprites, and they will give you seeds. Now, in gameplay terms, there are millions of sprites all around, but obviously you need to find the 7 who will give you the medallions.
The 7.
Anyway, yeah, always the 7. So you go and find these sprites and you unlock the ability to farm, to sow seeds. And that's literally all you can do almost in the entire game. It's the game looks good until you notice that all the regions look the same, even though they are supposed to be different. The game sounds good until you notice that all the NPCs just repeat their dialogue ad infinitum. It sounds great, like a great farming simulator, until you notice that all you can do is put a seed in the ground, water it, and look after it, water it at the correct time, and that's it. That's literally all you do.
Okay, that sounds
not a good
boring AF.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
But I think, yeah, so I don't know anything much about the game other than what I read in your review. And I think your biggest takeaway was that it was marketed as a farming simulator.
Yes.
And it's just not. And weirdly enough, the more of your review that I read, and as always, all the things we talk about we link below as much as possible, it sounds like a mobile game, you know? The kind of thing you play every couple of minutes every now and again versus a console game where you want to spend hours in it.
To be fair, I think this would make a very, very good mobile game. Something that you can go poop and then sit on your iPad quickly and water all your seeds, and then you leave it for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It's that kind of game.
Oh.
It's not a game that you play at all.
And my understanding also, is that it's quite a departure for the series, because normally the previous games, from what I understand, are quite good, quite in depth. They live up to the title.
From what I know, yes. This is my very first Harvest Moon game, so imagine my disappointment.
Yeah. That's basically put you off the franchise.
But I have heard very, very good things about the franchise.
The previous ones, yeah.
Yes.
So it's our first disappointing, everyone. Yeah. Our first disappointing rating since we instituted EGAD, our rating system on famous.com. If you want to know more about that, check out episode 1 of season 2 of Geralt.
Yes. Yeah. SO1, EO1.
Now, moving on to something that you actually enjoyed.
Yes. Oh gosh, I caught myself saying Legend of Zelda.
But for good reason.
Warriors.
But for good reason.
Yes. It's Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is the game's actual name, which is, as you can tell, a Legend of Zelda crossover with Dynasty Warriors. So maybe you couldn't tell that last bit.
You know that I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that it was a Dynasty Warriors crossover.
Oh, yeah. So, to be fair, it looks nothing like that. It only plays like that. That's all. Essentially, all it is, as far as Dynasty Warriors go, is only the gameplay. Because this game looks and feels like it's a Breath of the Wild expansion. I want to say, not expansion, but like a spin-off of the Breath of the Wild universe. Because it looks phenomenal. It really does, and it plays very well. Many people in the Dynasty Warriors, or many fans of the Dynasty Warriors camp, have been disappointed in recent years. The arguments are always that the game is reusing assets and the gameplay loop is repetitive, especially after you've played a while. And I can see that happening in this one as well, to be fair. But this is so much Legend of Zelda that I don't think any Dynasty Warrior fan might even like it that much, to be fair.
And everyone is craving more Legend of Zelda. So
always. Now, to be fair, the only Legend of Zelda I've played is a tiny bit of Breath of the Wild, and the one I reviewed last year, or the
Link's
year
Awakening.
before.
Yeah.
That's it, yes. And it was good. But you can see the difference in the two. For those who don't know, Legend of Zelda is all about timelines. Different timelines, different Zeldas, different links. Now, I say different links as if it's, I mean,
Yeah,
chain
but
links.
it's
No, I mean the main character link. The one you play, which is not Zelda.
correct.
Um,
It's only the Legend
yeah,
of Zelda, but you play as Link.
yes, that's it. It's almost like you don't play the Hollow Knight in Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
It's a good game. Is that your rating? Is that your EGAD?
It's good. Yes, it's. I don't think I made it. No, I didn't make it exceptional, but it is very, very, very good.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So essentially,
Yeah.
if you're a fan of the Legend of Zelda series, specifically Breath of the Wild, because I understand that visually
Yeah.
it's quite similar, and you enjoy
Yes,
Dynasty
it's-
Warriors games, then I suppose Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is one to look into.
Yeah. In short, it's a Legend of Zelda hack and slash.
Oh, that sounds great, to be honest.
It does.
Hey?
Even saying that, it sounds just great. Yeah.
Do you know what's weird about this? We spoke about Persona 5 Strikers last week. It kind of feels
Mhm.
a little bit similar-ish in the sense of how Strikers was like a Devil May Cry version of the normal Persona, and how Hyrule Warriors is again a hack and slash of Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah,
this one's better
it's-
because you don't need to have followed the game, I guess, in order to enjoy
Yeah,
this.
you can play this right from the get-go without having any knowledge of Zelda.
Actually, I'm curious.
Did they explain enough?
You mentioned that they all take place in different timelines. Is that correct?
I don't believe all of them. As I said, I haven't played all of them, but I believe the entire franchise revolves around these timelines and different.
So,
Like,
where does
loops
Hyrule
and
Warriors fit in?
I think it's called Age of Calamity.
So
it
with
obviously fits in right at the
Calamity
beginning,
Ganon.
at the Age of
Oh,
Calamity.
wow.
And yeah, with the bad guy is Calamity Ganon, and how he basically creates this age, this cataclysm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it was
that's
a good
cool.
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
On my side, I didn't do video games, but I did watch 2 full series.
In a week. Okay, no, I guess not.
No, well, actually,
Okay,
yes, in a
not.
week. I'm not gonna lie. We
Okay,
only
well, there
okay.
you go.
Anyway, let me get straight into it. So, the first one that I want to speak about is called Behind Her Eyes. Now, it's a very interesting Netflix show because it starts off as this typical drama of how there is a psychiatrist who's not really getting along very well with his wife, and he unintentionally meets her at a bar, and they make out, and it turns out that she is his receptionist. They discover it like 2 days later that she actually works for him. They didn't know. Anyway, and then of course the story ebbs and flows, and as I mentioned, it starts off like a drama, between these people, and why is he keeping secrets from his wife? What is his wife ill with? And is he treating her, given that he is a psychiatrist? And what about this third woman? How is she fitting in, and what is she going to do in terms of this relationship? And as you watch, you realize things are not as they seem. Every now and again, there's this very weird viewpoint that occurs, and you're like, what is this? Now, I initially had some speculation that there was definitely something otherworldly going on, but then, it was a drama, and there was no indication that there was anything behind the scenes. They did, however, explore dreams within the show, and, I'm going to try and be as spoiler-free as possible, because it's a decent show in terms of the story and where it goes, and the kind of cliffhangers and twists along the way. So the first major twist has to do with dreams. I don't want to say anything about that, but the biggest twist is how this drama, and I suppose for those of you who are a little bit like me, where you see things and you're like, that seems very unexplained. When are we going to get to that? And then eventually there's a reveal. And I was not expecting a science fiction twist. That's what I want to say about this. And it comes quite late into the show. So it's only, I think, 6 or 8 episodes. And they only really reveal it at about episode 5. And before that, it's actually a murder drama mystery. That's how it plays out.
But don't you think that will put some viewers off the show?
This is why I think it was done in a very clever way. So I think if it was marketed as a science fiction show, you would then immediately cut out people like my mom, for example. And I know a few other people who would just not be interested. They're not interested in sci-fi. They don't care much for it. So they feel, it's always the same and it's unbelievable and why bother watching? So by disguising it from the beginning as a suspense-driven murder drama, it pulls in both crowds. Because somebody who enjoys sci-fi might enjoy suspenseful drama, and somebody who enjoys suspenseful drama might not enjoy sci-fi, or vice versa, and so on and so forth. So this way, I think you're pulling in a lot of audiences, and then by slowly along the way, first with the dreams, then with the flashes to the past, and then eventually the massive reveals, it's done in such a way that, yes, it might be confusing for some, but for those of you who are really like observant and you've been watching, you'll just be like, what in the actual F is this ending? I don't want to say, or like you can piece it together. Like honestly, if you're an observant viewer, you can piece it together from about the second last episode. Even if you're not entirely sure what's going on, but you can kind of piece it together. But just the mind F in that final episode of everything coming together, it's just like it's one of those shows where you end off with this like, oh, how even, feelings.
What
and it's a mini series, kind of. So that's how it ends. There is no continuation. There won't be a second season.
Won't it be?
No,
at all?
It's a mini series. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the way that it ends with that total mind F is just how you have to deal with it.
Is it based on a
apparently
book
is, yes,
of some kind?
Look, overall, I would say it's a good show. It's by no means exceptional, but it is one of those, if you're looking for a good sort of drama murder mystery with a hint of science fiction towards the later episodes, this is definitely a show to consider and watch. It had all of us engrossed. Because I watched with my folks, and we kept talking about what's going on. What do we think's going to happen? And I had my theories, and they had their theories, and we spoke about it the whole time. It's a decent show. It's a quick watch as well, because you're watching and it goes so quickly. It's easy to binge, and it's well acted as well. Look, I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. There are some things along the way you were like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? This could have been avoided. But the show does a very good way of also pinpointing how this could have all been avoided, and basically stay out of people's bullshit. Okay.
always. That's just the general life.
You would think so. Now, the next show that I want to speak about is called The One. It is also a Netflix series. And when I first saw the blurb for it, I was like, is this a new reality show? So to put it in context, The One is all about how you find the one, how you find your 100% guaranteed mate to fall in love with through genetics. So it's an...
So it's like The Bachelor except science fiction.
That's what I thought. So I actually initially thought when I saw it, this is some new reality TV show. And when I started watching it, it was very clear it's not a reality TV show in the slightest. It's a full-on produced television soap opera, basically. And it has to do with this lady, or this scientist called Rebecca, and she works with like her best friend at the time, and they're busy doing postdoctoral research and so on and so forth. And they then wonder, because her best friend, and I've forgotten their names now, but her best friend, he was doing research into ant pheromones and how ants can communicate within their colonies, and how he has managed to trace that to a certain genetic marker. And so she's like, can we not apply that to humans? Would that be possible? They then go through whatever they need to do, and lo and behold, they do. They develop a means of using your genetic code to match you to your genetic best lover or best partner, basically, on a genetic level, whereby if the two of you meet, your pheromones and things are so strong, and your genetic compatibility is so incredible that you cannot not be with that person.
It overrides your mentality.
Pretty much. So it's an absolutely incredible premise. I will give the show that. It's a fascinating look at, we live in a world dominated by apps, and a lot of those apps are dating apps. So what if there was an app where once you've sent in a piece of your genetic material, they can tell you that we can, with 100% confidence, guarantee that this is going to be your life partner? It sounds appealing, doesn't it?
It does sound appealing, but it's also, it feels like it takes away some of that life.
Okay, now, the first thing that I want to get out about the show is it's too slow. I believe that through the 8 episodes, it probably could have been condensed into 6. There's a lot of unnecessary character exposition. Normally I would never really say that, because, the more you learn about characters, the better. But in this one, there are about 4 concurrent storylines, along with there's one main central storyline that has to do with Rebecca and a murder and whatever. But then there are a lot of side arcs to do with finding the one. Now, in this sense, yes, it's interesting that they're looking at the philosophical questions around what it means to find the one genetically. All right. And that's something I actually want to discuss a little bit more with you in a little bit. And then, of course, there's the whole murder mystery, whereby this one guy was killed. I don't want to get too much into it, because if you do want to watch it, it'd be a bit spoilery. But, one guy dies, and he dies because of nefarious things that, Rebecca and her partner did. And I won't speak too much about it, because it's nice to see how it plays out, assuming, of course, you'd like to watch the show.
Yeah.
But as I said, very, very, very slow. So you'll be in for a long, tawdry, there's a lot of exposition on these characters that is most of the time unnecessary, but the overall story is decent. And for me, it was all about Rebecca's spiral from finding true love to doing anything to make sure true love never disappears.
Okay, that sounds like a good spiral. Though.
Anyway, it's a spiral that had me relating with her in much the same way you would relate with Thanos, because she's pretty evil in the stuff she does. So
okay.
It's one of those odd dichotomies where you I don't want to say she's evil. I want to just say that she's super practical and pragmatic.
Of course you don't want to say she's evil, because
because like the things that she does, you're like, I get it. I get why you're doing it. Like, you shouldn't, but I get it.
Okay.
So anyway. Now, Edward, I have to ask you if okay, now of course, something else to consider just before I ask you the question. Like I said, the show deals with a lot of things like, what if you were already in a relationship and then you match yourself? What then? All right. And it does a fantastic job of, they look at the political climate. That's why I think the show is so long, because they go into all of these other little elements about how the one has influenced society. How when you've matched with the one, nothing else matters, and why the divorce rates, skyrocketed, and, so on and so forth. So they do speak about a lot of that. So there was also one storyline, and this is where I want to speak to you about this. So first of all, Ed, given the option, and also to our listeners, given the option, let us know, would you send in your genetic material to find your 100% perfect guaranteed genetic match for true love, and a love that you've never experienced in your life?
Would I do that?
Because mine is a yes.
Of course, yours is a yes.
Because I am
My
not involved with anybody.
counter question:
Yes.
what if there is no genetic match? What if you're the outlier?
Now they touch upon the unicorn a little bit in the show. There's also
Okay.
another revelation which I won't spoil because it ends up being a
Okay.
spoiler. But the genetic profiles are only as big as the number of people who've submitted the genetic material. So in the show, I think it was 30 million people had been matched. So therefore, that's 1 in a 30 million chance of finding your one. But that's not the same as saying a 1 in 7 billion chance.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not that your one isn't out there. It's just that maybe
It's
the
difficult.
restrictions of the genetic database would not allow you for you to find the one just yet. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because your one hasn't been found on the app doesn't mean you're going to be alone forever. It just means that the genetic profile hasn't been uploaded yet.
Imagine that forever alone.
Okay. No, back to
question,
your yes.
I don't know. As I said earlier, I feel like as much as the premise sounds good, I feel like that takes away some of the humanity. You know, some of that that finding and experiencing love.
You mean
aspect.
the rejections?
Not always. Not always. Some rejections turn out into very good things. Like the one I experienced before I met Marianne. You know? So
look, that's interesting in its own right. That you would say that, oh, you know, the process of finding love is as important as finding love.
I think so. Yeah.
I would disagree. I would say I would prefer submitting my genetic data and getting confirmation that there's a 100% match so that we can just take all the guesswork out and just live a happy, wonderful life with each other.
You know what I just had go through my brain the moment you said that? My first thought was, oh, you're like one of those types who wouldn't mind living in this immaculate world where everything is planned. Okay, whatever. That's
yes.
The second thing that went through my mind is, you know, in Fallout 4, I forgot the name of the faction, but there's the faction which is actually, spoiler alert, your son's faction, and he owns it, and he's the father, and they're all futuristic. I imagine you'd be the perfect candidate for living there because everything is like that there.
Edward, do you even know me?
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, for our listeners who are watching via YouTube, you'll notice that I've kept the same viewpoint for the video, but I tested a different viewpoint earlier this week, and Edward was like, your room looks like something an influencer would have. And I was like, Edward, do you know me?
Because one of those lifestyle influencers.
Anyway, coming back to the one. The one.
Yeah.
Now, I'm also curious to know, you with Marianne, right? So let's use you as a great example. Would you not, in the least, be curious to know about your one because you're with Marianne?
No, see, the thing is, the premise of this is as soon as they match you, you'll probably be pheromoned into thinking they're the one. So why would I suddenly want to jeopardize this?
So it's more to do with the allure of the fact that this other person that you get matched to is your genetic match. Meaning that when you meet them, and the show does a really, really good job of describing what it's like to meet your one. In the sense of people who've met their one, it's like a drug. The way that they feel on each other's skin, their kisses, the orgasms, the emotional connections, the ability to share anything and everything. It's the show does a great job of saying, because this person is such a genetic match to you, nothing else feels right thereafter. And again, without talking about spoilers, they do a great job of showcasing this in a variety of different ways between characters in the show. And one of those in the show is a husband and wife who are married and very happily married. They love each other dearly. And he himself says to her, I don't ever want to be tested. I feel I have the one. I don't want to take the test to find out what they say is my genetic partner. Unfortunately for him, the wife is not so confident in the fact that she is his one. So she gets him tested without him knowing. And then without talking too much more about it, it then goes into this whole saga of what happens if you unintentionally meet your one, even if you're already in a happy relationship. And it was really wonderfully explored because he didn't know she was the one, all right? And the one that he was matched to didn't know that he was the match either, because the way that the matches work is you submit your profile, they submit their profile, and when you get told you have a match, you have the option of saying, yes, I want them to know, no, I don't want them to know.
Right.
So you still have a choice. It's not like you just matched and then that's it, right?
So imagine...
Anyway, so let me just carry on quickly. And so what then ends up happening is through a series of events, which could have been absolutely avoidable, but happened, he meets her. And understand now, we're talking about the fact that they don't know that they're each other's one. Okay? But the connection is so strong, it's instantaneous. They immediately feel an attraction, and then he then starts to wrestle with why is he feeling this way towards this person when he's already married, happily married. You know, and he can't place it. And then it spirals and they find, anyway, then the story moves on.
So I'm probably asking a lot of questions that has been answered in the show, so I need to watch this. But what if you don't want to know? What if you don't want to tell this other person that you're their one, but they want to?
It doesn't matter. So okay, let's just use us as an example, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we both submit our genetic material. You're my one, I'm your one, right? Yeah. Let's assume I was the one that submitted my material, but you didn't. However, your material is in the database.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is on my side, it will say, so-and-so, we have found your one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you click, awesome, let me see. Until you actively choose to say, yes, let me know. Okay. I don't know who you are. I'm just told that there is one for me and they're on the database.
Okay, that's cool.
Does that make sense?
It sounds intriguing.
Anyway,
both of these shows I want to watch now, to be fair.
Look, it's the one is, as I said, I'd say it's an average to good show. It's by no means exceptional.
Sounds great.
The science behind it, yes, is like that got me. Like I was like, this is incredible. Like I want to know more, and but there were a lot. It was just very slow. Like it could have been 4 or 5 episodes instead of 8. It really could have been condensed.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stuff that was just happening, and it could have been a lot quicker. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like unlike in Behind Her Eyes, in the one, I ended up reaching for my phone a few too many times while we were watching. Just because stuff was happening, and I'm like, well, this is not really, I mean, yes, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's a little bit long in the tooth now, because how many times are you going to keep talking about this?
Yeah.
It's
just
but from a look, there's definitely going to be a second season. The way that this thing ends, there's just no way it can't have a second season. Specifically one of those twists that I didn't want to, that Edward answered, and well, there's more questions to it. I just don't want to talk about it just yet, because if there is going to be a second season, it will ruin the some of the other twists in season 1.
Well,
but yeah, if you're interested in genetics, because at least they're upfront about this from the beginning. So it's not necessarily sci-fi. It's very, very much a drama. It's a drama about love and whether or not, meeting your partner meeting your one is something you should do, and they go through the ethical quandaries surrounding that. And from that perspective, I will applaud the show from doing a good job of exploring the different facets around love and whether or not finding this one is the be all and end all of having a happy relationship. So yeah, that's that. Now, y'all, y'all have been waiting a full year for Minia Swart over there.
A full year.
To finish watching Velocipastor and what we call the Russian Avengers. That's not the name, but that's what we call it.
It's literally that.
Now, Edward, please tell me you have watched these so that our audience can finally know what they're about.
So, yes, I have.
Good. Yes.
This was a busy week for me, okay? I had to watch lots of stuff. I had to play lots of stuff. Okay, so, getting right into it, okay? Let's start with Velocipastor, Hans, and viewers.
the little bit that I've seen of that, to the point of I
shit.
remember.
It's shit. Carry on. Please carry on.
We don't even have a rating lower than disappointing.
No, maybe we should. Egads.
For shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. A very, very special rating for the really special.
Exactly. Special. We'll call it special.
I remember when Edward first started watching it, like this was last year already, and he started watching it and then he stopped and he was like, listen, this is not a complete version of the film
unfinished.
because it literally has this placeholder that says insert CGI here.
Yeah. And that's
And so
usually...
I was like, what? And then Edward was like, what the hell is it? So I did some Googling. That is the film.
Yeah.
It is literally shot like that on purpose.
Right? It's so bad. Okay, so this placeholder thing, for those who don't know, usually when we get review stuff, sometimes it will have that in the scenes. So I immediately thought, what is this? Turns out it's on purpose. Velocipastor is supposed to be bad. It's shot to be bad. I don't know. I don't have any other examples of movies that is like this. Maybe the Scary Movie franchise, those parody
but you see,
stuff.
The Scary Movie franchise was brilliant though, because they were meant to be a tongue-in-cheek look at serious hack and slash.
Yes.
Whereas Velocipastor is meant to be what? It's
just bad.
A campy version of Rambo, which was already campy.
It's not even bad. It's just bad. Anyway, so the premise is all about this pastor. First, he loses his parents in some like crash accident thing, and then he goes to China.
That was sorry.
And in China, he sleeps with a hooker. So he's a pastor. He sleeps with a hooker. In the night, in the middle of the night, these ninjas come and attack. And he jumps up, and the hooker jumps up, and there's this fighting scene going on. It's shit. And then suddenly we realize he has this ability to basically become all primal, and essentially become a velociraptor. And
it's such a shame because y'all know I love me some dinosaurs.
It's bad. Don't watch it. And then that's the premise. She teaches. She tells him to basically fight crime. And that's where the movie goes, and it's just so bad.
So
I'm disappointed.
It's poorly acted, poorly written, terrible visuals. The little bit that I've seen of it, because I haven't watched much, and this is why this was tasked to Edward, is it comes across as like a really offbeat uni project.
Yeah, it does.
That wasn't meant to be seen by everybody, but somehow got greenlit.
And then made it into the mainstream somewhere. Yeah, it's weird. And it's bad. And I can't emphasize that enough.
Basically, if you want to watch any bits of it, go and check out YouTube.
Yeah.
There's more than enough snippets on there to know what you're not missing out on.
But there are a bunch of amazing critiques on it as well. I watch a lot of the movie critiques on YouTube about that. And that will give you much better entertainment than the movie ever will.
Fair enough.
And then moving straight on to a better movie, which was little factoid for you.
Arguably better.
Yes. Well, it's still better. It's no matter how you look at it, it's a better movie. Okay.
Everything is better than Velocipastor.
So this was actually rated as one of the worst movies in Russia, called Guardians. Now, Guardians, I watched it in Russian with hard English subs, but you get an English dub as well, which is so bad.
I don't know.
Now, usually, I don't have issues with dubs. I know in the anime community, there's this whole fighting about dubs being crap and whatever.
No, watch how you want to watch, okay? Just like how Gen Z's trying to cancel the side parting. Listen here, bitches. Okay? Y'all supposed to be the woke generation and accepting everybody. So what is this business of you not trying to cancel a hairstyle?
Yes.
No, man. Anyway.
So I watched the normal one because it is just better, to be fair. But I don't have anything against the dub. I just think it's
But you're
better.
also learning Russian, so
Also
it works
that,
in your
yes.
favor.
There are a few words I recognized anyway. So it's, as Hans said, it's the Russian Avengers. Now the reason it's the Russian Avengers is because throughout the movie they get these beings with superpowers. Now I will say this lightly. The whole bit about getting the beings with the superpowers is shit. But after that, it's good. And also, the movie shows little snippets of things that could have been good. It's almost, and I wrote this down in my notes as well while watching the movie, because when I review stuff, I do notes. It's essentially the Justice League, which is the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League.
Is that the name?
Yes,
that everyone's going
that's
with now?
the colloquial version. Yes,
The Justice
Justice
League.
League.
Oh goodness.
because it feels like that. It's cut like that. It's put together like that. So you have all these little bits that kind of interweaves and interlinks, but also seems too disparate to make a lot of sense.
So hashtag release the Russian.
Yeah,
cut.
there we go. Release the Russian Guardians, I guess, or whatever. Because I don't know, it's a good movie if you take it at face value. There are bits.
Everybody, I would just like to remind you all that Edward thought the original Justice League was a good movie too.
Yes.
So please
Okay,
take with a
to
grain
be
of
fair,
salt.
It was until we got this one. Now this one is the best, and it's really the best. It's amazing.
He's talking about Zack
Yes,
Snyder's Justice League because
yes,
he's finally
I am.
watched it now. And as you know, we spoke about it in last
Yes.
week's episode, and it is legit
It's
amazing.
super good. This is what happens. Zack Snyder's Justice League is what happens when you give a director free reign.
Carte
Yes.
blanche, yeah, to do whatever he wants. Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the Guardians, before we digress too much, there is this bit at the beginning where they basically explain the entire bad guy's backstory. Now it's done while they walk through the corridors, just to explain like the Patriot operation failed or whatever. They explain it for like 30 minutes long. Okay, fine. That should have been a movie. Okay. That should have been a movie because that's amazing. That's intriguing. Okay, so then the Major tells this hot Russian chick to get the Guardians together, get the Avengers, and then she there's this weird 5-minute highlight of her just, we need to find the Guardians, and all of her people are like, I know of someone in this mountain. Oh no, I know of someone in this forest. And then that's it. That's how they find the Guardians. And then they go out and find and recruit them. And it's a matter of, oh, hi, old friend. Remember me? Let's go defeat the bad guy. Why it's like that, I don't know. But that happens. So, which means every one of these Guardians...
See, this happens when you don't have billions of dollars to create an entire universe.
I guess. Because
okay, and you got to shoehorn it in.
Because all of these Guardians
on a
obviously needed to have their own movies. Okay? And I'm angry actually because I want this to be an MCU kind of thing.
So this sounds like a whole Warner Brothers thing over again, just the Russian version. Yeah.
It's the Justice League.
Yeah.
And then anyway, they go and they come together and they defeat them. Also, as soon as they're together, the Major is like, oh, we have no time to spare. Let's go fight the bad guy. And they immediately fail. Everyone like dies or get caught.
But that's great though. You don't need useless exposition.
They fail and that's the exposition. Okay. Suddenly where they failed, this hot Russian chick comes in with 2 guys with guns and they let them free all of a sudden because now they don't need to fail. See, it's
Russia.
Contrivances like these that make the movie bad. Okay. And then they get to the bad guy again at the very end, and it's like this, the MacGuffin is all like, oh no, you can channel your powers through each other, but you might die. And then they do that and they almost die. They don't. Spoiler alert. And that's the movie. The bad guy just like falls into a crater and that's it. So I think they're planning a second one. Unfortunately, 6 years later.
It's been several years now, yeah.
So anyway,
Well, who knows? Like I said, hashtag release the Russian
It was
cut.
entertaining to
Who
watch.
knows?
I'll say that much. It wasn't exceptional. It wasn't too good. But it was entertaining.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you know what else I found entertaining this week?
Hans?
Your article on who should portray Batman
Well,
in a live action version of Batman
the
Beyond.
thing is, someone had to say it. Someone had to get this list together, and I figured, why not?
So, Edward wrote probably one of my favorite articles this year on Famous.com, and it has to do with like I said, here are 5 actors who should portray Batman in a Batman Beyond film, because according to the rumor mill at the moment, the live action Batman Beyond film or television series is going to be one of the two, is back on the board again. So whether or not it happens is another story. So Edward was like, cool, here are 5 actors who should take on the role. And so he wrote an article where all 5 points are Michael Keaton.
Well, yes, they are.
And I just when I was editing this thing, I didn't actually notice it at first. And I thought that he had made a mistake. And then I went through the rest of it and I actually had such a good laugh, because it's just, and this is 100% an Edward thing to do. And it's so good. I was so impressed that he was able to write 5 solid paragraphs, all uniquely different about the same actor. Go and check it out. Have a good laugh. We will link to it below. And Ed, now that I've basically spoken about what I felt about your article, tell us why Michael Keaton.
Because he's perfect for the role. Okay. It
kind of like Hugh Jackman in Wolverine, right?
Much.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. He's still one of my favorite Batman.
Like regardless of the fact that he played Batman in the 80s, I just think he is the perfect fit for the role. He looks like old Batman. He looks like 80-year-old Bruce Wayne. I shouldn't say old Batman, because obviously Batman Beyond is a new Batman.
Well, Bruce Wayne acts as the mentor.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So for those who don't know, Edward, just give us a really brief overview of what Batman Beyond is about. We probably should have started with that.
Okay, so Batman Beyond, fast forward into the 2030s, I think, and...
Oh, we're not that far away. It's only a decade away. Damn.
Old Bruce Wayne is in this new fancy technological suit. He needs the suit because he's old. He can't really fight crime by himself anymore. So he's in the suit, and this bad guy almost bests him. And right then and there, he snaps and almost kills the guy with his own gun. And he's like, oh shit, no, I shouldn't do this. He throws the gun away and he retires completely. Fast forward 50 years later, and the Batman is gone. We haven't seen a Batman in 50 years. Now it's 2088 or 20. Yeah, I think it's 2088 or something. Maybe 2077. Haha. And this young guy named Terry McGinnis, a troubled teen, doesn't really get by with his parents, but his dad dies or something. I can't really remember what happened to his parents. But his mom is still alive. And now he fights off the Jokers. They beat him, and he finds refuge in Batman's mansion, it looks run down. Turns out Terry McGinnis is just like anyone normal watching Batman, and he fiddles around with all the buttons, and he manages to get into the cave and unlock this Batsuit. He becomes the Batman Beyond, and obviously shortly after, Bruce Wayne notices and he disables the suit, and Terry McGinnis is just like, what's this shit? And chaos ensues from there. Now, I love this show. One, I grew up with it.
In fairness, it's one of the best animated TV shows from Warner Brothers.
It's the actual canonical follow-up from the Batman cartoon series, the classic Batman cartoon series, which has like 20 million series. It's the actual canonical follow-up to that. So there we go. It's also
that's amazing,
not some random spin-off. And yeah, I just love it. It's cool to see Batman in this new setting, which we haven't ever seen before in any other license of the show. and old Batman is just an amazing grumpy old man.
Look,
with a dog.
I'm personally hoping it becomes a TV show.
Yes, me as well.
Because I feel Warner Brothers has just messed up the cinematic universe. And with Robert Pattinson's Batman coming out, I don't think they're going to want to confuse people even more with Batman Beyond. But a TV show would work really well. Sadly,
DC.
I don't want it to be a CW kind of show. You know, I don't want to have the Monster of the Week, which is kind of feels like that's what they will do with Batman Beyond. You know, I would love there to be a real gritty noir, proper take on the relationship between Bruce and
Terry.
You know, so, you know, I would like that. More of a how he trains him to be the new Batman. Versus, because doesn't that eventually evolve into something else at a later stage? Nightwing or something like that?
No, Nightwing is Robin. Used to be Robin.
Oh,
one of the Robins, anyway. In the Batman Beyond universe, Terry eventually meets Nightwing, and eventually the entire future Justice League is a thing, as well. But that's like
either way, for me, a TV show. You know, a couple of seasons of developing the arc, and then eventually culminating in Batman's death in the final season, you know, and then Terry moves on. Do you know what I mean?
Or something to that effect, anyway.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah, I would love it as well. Even a miniseries, just like based off of all 3 animated series, just a quick miniseries going through Terry's arc, you know?
Yes, actually. Something with a nice beginning, middle, and end, and that's it.
That's
it's a nice once-off 8 episodes.
Yeah, a limited series,
Yeah. No, I dig that.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what I don't dig?
What?
Zombies.
Oh. You don't dig zombies, Hans? Why don't you do zombies, Hans?
So. We all know there is a global pandemic.
Yeah.
The COVID.
Yeah.
Well, y'all might be interested to know that the US Center for Disease and Control Prevention have released guidelines on a zombie apocalypse.
Good. Not that it'll ever help, but good. Good on them.
I mean, you know how like they're all of those like Illuminati conspiracy theories on how like, you know, they say that, oh, Hollywood is prepping us for the future with aliens and stuff like that. Well, here we have a highly reputable organization in the United States of America who have released official guidelines on zombies. And it's pretty in-depth. Like, I know it's meant to be a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is that this was originally published in 2011, so over a decade ago. But it was only really picked up earlier in March 2021, where, you know, people started talking about it, obviously because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they actually talk about a zombie pandemic. This is actually what these rules are about. And they're really good. They're very in-depth, and they go into what you should do, zombie preparedness, how to bat them in the head, and, you know, stuff like that. As well as, you know, there's actually a graphic novel that you can read more about, you know, where they guide you through the processes. There's even educational resources for educators to teach children.
Amazing.
They've done a really wonderful job to the point where it's truly believable, because they even mention how, you know, should there be a zombie outbreak, this is what the CDC will do, and that includes trying to reverse engineer whatever it is that's causing zombieism, you know, including looking at diseases like mad cow disease, measles, rabies, etc., etc. And I just thought it was really fascinating, and I'm so glad that a company like this, or, you know, an organization like this, has a bit of a funny bone, because, you know, it's nice to make light of something like this, you know, whether or not it becomes accurate in the future or not, you know, at this rate anything is possible. It just was a really good find, and as always, we'll link to it below. Go check it out. Go look at the graphic novel, read the blog post, see the comments from the people who also give extra advice that they feel the CDC didn't cover. It's a nice little exploration into what could be, and we hope never will be.
Yeah. I don't want a zombie in my lawn, you know.
Nobody wants a zombie apocalypse. Aliens, sure. Like, we can sort of, I mean, you know, I don't know. I'd rather be vaporized by an alien then turn into a zombie,
I
or
don't
what?
know.
See a loved one turn into a zombie or
I'll
something.
just subjugate and become an alien slave. I don't mind.
Oh, we'll probably turn to like alcoholism, right? To get out of the
Listen, you don't know what's in here.
to well. With alcohol on demand. Thank you for you're all welcome for the delicious segue.
Yes, thank you.
I would like to shout out to Chantal from Nairobi for sending this in. A really, really fascinating new article on research to do with eye color and alcoholism. So it's I mean, I never would have thought that eye color would have anything to do with your propensity for becoming an alcoholic. But as it turns out, researchers looked at over 1,200 Americans of European ancestry, including almost 1,000 people who were diagnosed with alcohol dependence, which basically means that they were alcoholics, and over 300 who were not diagnosed as alcoholics. And through these 1,300 people, look, in all fairness, it is quite a small sample size, but of course, the research is new, and so it's all to do with, they start small before you get bigger, because, for funding and so on and so forth. So obviously more is needed in this respect.
Yeah.
But they found that 54% of respondents, and that is a lot. That is over half of these 1,300 people, which I suppose if you had to look at the figures of who are, dependent on alcoholism or not. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is over 50% of the people, 54% in fact, had light-colored eyes, including blue, green, gray, and light brown. Whereas the rest all had dark brown eyes. And so what the researchers have been able to do is, from this very small sample size, actually ascertain that there is a link, or at least a partial link, between alcoholism and eye color. So for our wonderful listeners and watchers, if you have light eyes, there's a possibility that you have a propensity towards being an alcoholic more so than your brown eye-colored mates.
No wonder I don't drink. I've got pitch black eyes. Gosh.
No, it means that you would not turn into an alcoholic.
Exactly.
Oh. Well, I have hazel eyes, and I'm not really one for alcohol either, but that's not what this is about. This is just about, whether or not the possibility for you to fall down that rabbit hole exists.
It's easier.
And they basically just said, and what was very interesting about this as well, and this is quite an important factor, is that they actually used genetic analysis to further confirm that there is a link between eye color and a propensity towards being more, consumed by alcoholism. Just very interesting, really.
Yeah.
Now, look, it's not a perfect study, so they didn't take into consideration mental health or income, which does have an impact on whether somebody could be an alcoholic or might not be. But either way, I just think it's fascinating how, in this sense, even though it's a small sample size and maybe it's flawed and so on and so forth, that there could possibly be a link.
Okay, that's good to know. If you've got friends with blue eyes and they're falling down a rabbit hole, just tell them it's not their own fault. It's their eyes.
Yeah, so if you're getting friends that are texting you and telling you that the beach looks like popcorn, it's time to not worry, because there is actually such a thing as a popcorn beach.
It's not the alcohol speaking.
It's not the alcohol speaking. Now, this is another submission. Thank you very much, Jessica from the Spanish Canary Islands. She actually sent this in because she's going there for a holiday. And she thought that we would be really interested in talking about it. And long story short, there's this place called Popcorn Beach. And it's on one of the Canary Islands, namely Fuerteventura. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. Anyway, on this island is a beach where the pebbles or the sand looks like popcorn. Like, I kid you not.
Beautiful.
There's actually a huge Instagram tag about it, and there's videos on YouTube where it 100% legit looks like popcorn. I mean, I was looking at this and I was just like, I wonder if anybody's eaten it. What makes it more interesting about this and how the popcorn is formed, it's actually to do with algae.
Eating
Right? Isn't
away
that
at the
interesting?
rocks. I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah. That's cool.
So I thought that it was a fascinating thing. As always, we will link to it so you can go and you can check it out, and see some pictures. And Jess, we hope you have a lovely holiday. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you should eat it or not.
Don't step on it though, because they look sharp. So.
Now moving on to things that might be nightmare fuel. Edward, robot monster wolves. Tell me more.
They exist. You know how we always say, Nazi robot sharks with lasers. You know, that's the sci-fi 80s action trope.
Yes, it is.
Well,
I mean, it's also Austin Powers.
Oh, there we go. I forgot about Austin Powers.
$1 million or whatever.
So robot monster wolves is a thing. And it's a thing in Japan because obviously
of course it's Japan. Did we expect it to be anywhere else that robot monster wolves would be a thing? I mean,
maybe Russia.
No, Russia would be bears.
That's a good thing.
Then again, maybe these should be foxes instead of wolves. That's also Anyway,
but isn't that just stereotyping?
Anyway, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to robot monster wolves in Japan because it's the most incredible country, honestly, and the most fantastic people, and they have so much ingenuity. So tell me why robot monster wolves? And what is their purpose?
On the topic of bears, the robot monster wolves exist solely to repel bears. Yeah. So
Japan has a bear problem?
The farmland areas of Japan, they have big bear problems. And they've had some for
I never
many
would have
years now.
said.
Yeah.
I never would have said.
Because for instance, in 2019, there are reported 157 reported bear attacks.
That is a lot.
Yeah, in tiny ass Japan, which is a lot. And that's only throughout the rural areas, which is sad. But to get around this, they had to improvise and adapt and create technological
robot
beasts
monster wolves.
called literally the monster wolf. At least by locals, it's called the monster wolf.
Okay.
And basically, how it works is it's this mechanical wolf that is perched on top of an elevated platform, and it's motion activated.
Yeah.
And every time it sees something come into view, or I guess when its sensors picks it up, its head will start bopping. It will start making a noise, which is one of 60 noises, which can be anything from animal howls to mechanical sounds, which I think that's a terrifying
That
thought.
sounds like legit scary.
Nightmare fuel, yeah.
Like what if you're like just walking around and because like I'm looking at it here and it has like red glowing eyes. Like imagine seeing that.
Yeah.
Like come out of this platform and
Yeah,
you know.
It sounds super scary. Now, it used to before the government took over, it used to cost about $4,000 for farmers to commission them and get them on their lands.
Yeah.
But in places where it's especially bad, where the bear attacks have become worse over the years, such as Takikawa, Japan, the government has stepped in and employed the wolves themselves around the areas. And
I'm just genuinely surprised that this works.
yeah. So in total, there are now 62 monster wolves installed across the entirety of Japan, and no sightings of bears have been reported since.
Kind of want to add this to my bucket list.
Getting a monster.
I want to see one. I want to go to one of these rural areas and see a monster wolf.
Then you'll have to go to Takikawa, I guess.
I guess.
That they have been installed in Hokkaido as well, and I think you often pass by Hokkaido, don't you?
I think so. Look, Japan is it's quite large. It's not it's not small.
Yeah.
Well, either way,
Either way,
it's now
you
on the
can now
bucket
make it
list.
one of your stops.
I need to get scared,
Yeah.
preferably, and then make sure that my running is not into one of those forests because
Yeah, because there are
um,
bears.
no,
Just run
well,
back
I mean
to
the
the
bears are
houses.
not what I was actually thinking about. You know, one of those really sad suicide forests. Like I don't know, I would not be able to
Oh
do that.
boy, yeah.
That just it like freaks me out. Like I remember when I went to Japan a couple of years back with one of our avid listeners, actually, who's also my cousin Tegan. He desperately wanted to go, and I was like, "Enjoy yourself," because I am not going to one of those places.
Yeah, why would you? Why would you want to see that or
I
be
think
reminded of that?
it's I don't know. I think it has some allure for some people.
I don't know.
For myself, I don't have. I'm very easily frightened and very easily scared. So I just know I would not be able to handle that. Just like I cannot handle the next topic that Edward is going to speak to us about, because it is literally this. This is literally a horror, a setup for a horror. Okay,
Yeah.
like I'm looking at this, and Edward has it written perfectly here. His comment is, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, no. The thing is, a few episodes back we spoke about The Descent.
Yes. In context, it had to do with a video game because we love Alien Isolation so much.
Yes.
But yeah.
So essentially, this is that, but in real life, just without
It's
the
like,
monsters.
why do
We
y'all
hope-
do scientists not watch movies and films?
I
Like, do you want a plague? This is how you get a plague. Do you want this monster to come out of the depths and mutate people in zombies? This is how you do it.
yeah, essentially, let's be honest. So what we're getting at is there's this new experiment happening currently in France, whereby 15 people is going down into a cave. Now they already went down. Sorry, they 15
So
people
y'all,
went down into
they're
a
already
cave.
there. So we will
Yeah.
know our future in a month or so.
Yeah, give it a month or so, where they will be staying in isolation. Okay, I say isolation, they say isolation, but together as a group in the deep, dark depths of a cave. Not at the surface, near the surface, in the depths of a cave, in isolation, without electricity, without water. The only water they have is a single source flowing through the cave, by themselves. And the only light. Yeah, sorry, Hans.
How are they going to poop? How are they going to defecate and
I
urinate?
guess they're gonna. They're either gonna have one of those
Do
systems.
you mean like a
where
septic tank
you-
system?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
A portable
Or
one.
they just
Okay,
have
sorry.
to-
That was just something that I thought of because I'm a bit of a clean
Yeah, so
germaphobe.
it's either that, or they just gotta go deeper into the cave. You know, where
Oh,
it's
no, but
deeper
the
and
smell.
darker.
No, mm-mm. You see,
Yeah.
again, y'all want to now defecate and urinate into this place with all this strange ass bacteria, and they're gonna get infected. This is zombies.
With a
I'm
single
telling you
water
now.
source again. You don't know where
Oh.
those poop goes. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's the recycling.
No, I
thing
think it'll be a lot more humane. From what I'm understanding here, they actually have sent down a lot of stuff for these people to
Food,
live
especially.
in these caves. So I would have to assume it would probably be something like a portable septic tank system or something
We
to
hope.
last the month that they're going to stay there.
Yeah, we do hope so.
I would
so.
at least hope so.
Yeah. So along with them were sent 15 tons of resources. Now this includes food and I assume other livable things like tents, maybe heaters if they can power them, and stuff like that. Now the way the power works for these people is a little dynamo they have to crank to get going, to get light. That's their only singular light source.
Wow.
I'm not sure how the dynamo works. Maybe it's running thing. Maybe it's a thing you literally just have to crank.
The first thing that came into my mind was to keep them active. So attach it to like a bicycle, but then now you have the sweat smell. I'm sorry. The more I'm thinking about this,
Listen, Hans,
the more
if you're going into a deep dark cave, you don't worry about the sweat smell. You worry about your life, because they'll be living there for 40 days. Okay.
listen, can you just hear me out now? Just hear me out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're all down there and things are going swell and it's been 2 weeks, no issues. And then one night, Harry, or Henri, because it's French people, is supposed to be doing the cycle for the power. And then the lights go off and you just hear a scream in the distance. And there's no way. I'm sorry, no, I can't. There's no way.
And
There's
that's
no
how,
way.
That's how they make a Netflix version of The Descent based on true stories. Yeah, that's where these horror stories come from. Let's be honest.
Jeez.
It's scary. But to be fair, life is made a little bit easier for them.
Life
In
finds a
total,
way.
There are three total. Three is not total, but there are three big biomes for these people set up. One is the living space.
Okay, fair enough.
One is the study, where they'll be doing all sorts of studies on the rock formations and the bacteria within the cave and everything. And one is the sleeping space. So the living and the sleeping is set apart from each other, which is good.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. And it's been calibrated. And I say in air quotes because I don't know what that means for a cave. And
You see, so yeah, I see here it's calibrated to be a certain temperature with like
it's
high
about-
humidity and so on and so on.
about
So
30
so
degrees.
it's not just randomly sending people down
No,
into the.
no.
It's actually really well kitted out to live fairly well. So I'm assuming they've thought of everything.
As well
And
as can be, yeah.
I mean, my understanding is they're doing this to what is it? To gauge not loneliness, isolation, right? To gauge
Yes.
isolation because
Yeah.
of the pandemic that we've had.
It's been inspired by the pandemic.
You see, I find that interesting because instead of being inspired by the pandemic, why
Yeah.
could it not have been inspired by our space exploration? You know, when people go to Mars, for example, they're going to be alone. They're going to be
Yeah.
cooped up. You know,
And I think maybe it's different. Maybe it's different being in a vacuum than being down below.
I think it'd be better on Mars. At least you have some daylight.
At least, yeah, like hot as daylight, but at least you will.
At least there's, yeah, you know, you could look up. There's the wind. Well, if they probably see as your skin off. But anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah. That's
Okay, so
another argument.
this sounds very interesting, Ed.
It does.
You know, so when are they emerging?
22 April. I believe,
22
yeah,
April 22.
yeah.
What a fail! It should have been 21 April 2021. Oh, scientists!
But then it
I
would
can't.
be 39 days. You don't want an experiment to just be 39 days.
Then
would
they
you?
should have gone in sooner. At least make the end date the same as like match the date.
Scientists don't
Y'all
care
who've been
about
listening
that
for a while
shit.
know I know. I'll have a thing for numbers. Okay.
Somewhere there's a number scientist going, why didn't they do this? So
Yes, yes. Thank you.
yeah, I get that. So, but
Oh gosh.
to be and in
just
order
just
to-
like a was it 69 420
69 for 20, yeah. If that's even.
NSFW.
I'm just wondering how would 69 for 20 work?
Well, you'd be high and 69ing.
See, I'm thinking dates. I'm still on the dates topic. Okay, sorry.
I'm segueing you into your next topic here.
That I know. I was just confused, as I always am. So the first NSFW topic, which is just more interesting tidbit more than anything else, is something sent in by another longtime listener and viewer, Ian, from right here at home, South Africa.
you shout out Ian.
Yeah. Thanks for watching all these years, I guess. Almost a year now. More than a year now. Anyway, which is all
Well,
about...
it was a year when we did our first episode, Edward.
Yeah, there we go. So more than a year. Dates, okay? Dates.
Yes, we can tell which one of us is the date conscious one here.
Yeah.
And number conscious one.
Yeah, I guess. So-
Okay, anyway, back to what is this from Ian?
Sex theme park in Japan. Not Japan, South Korea.
So when I first thought about this,
Yes.
I was like, how is that going to be sanitary? And then I realized
Oh.
it wasn't the kind of theme park.
You were thinking
that-
orgies and shit.
Well, I mean, think about it. You go on rides at a theme park, don't you? So
Yeah.
if you want to be ridden at this theme park in South Korea, I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay, to
Right?
be fair, this called Loveland. This theme park is more to celebrate sex than more than actually having sex. Now,
Okay.
the post I found and Ian linked me to is more about just summarizing what you can find there, and they don't say anything about finding hotspots there where you can have sex. I suppose those exist as well because it's an
I see it
entire
might be a little bit
island.
taboo as well. But then again, if you're going to a
It's-
sex theme park
Yeah,
and you're doing it, is anyone really going to say anything?
I don't think so. It's like going to the red district, in
No,
the Netherlands.
people are going to be
So-
like, yeah.
yeah, sup, homie, welcome,
You see,
welcome to the club.
I find this interesting because I'm decently well traveled, and
Yeah.
I've been to Amsterdam, and I've obviously gone to the sex museums there.
Yeah.
And I had a look at this theme park in South Korea, and it seems very much like that. But the difference being, of course, where the one in South Korea is actually a celebration of it.
Yeah.
So they have obelisks and statues and in wonderful positions, and it's very beautiful looking. The one in Amsterdam is actually a literal museum about it, where you go and you see things like how people used to use coconuts as contraceptive, make it, no, hey, geez. When you see this thing, you kind of look at it and you're like, how the fong did they even get that in there in the first place? And how was that pleasurable? Anyway.
If there's a will, there's a way.
So,
That's all I'm
yes,
saying.
if humanity has taught us anything, it's that.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting experience, but it's not the kind of place I'd go back to again. I mean, like, you've seen it, you know it, like, cool, whatever.
Yes.
And then, of course, there is also the other side of Amsterdam, where you can go and you can see the live shows, and you can go and actually that was
Experience.
probably my second time ever that I had a spliff.
Spliff.
What do you call it? A marijuana
Oh,
stick.
jeez, I don't know these weird
Zol.
names you have. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, and yeah. So it's they have that kind of experiences. So anyway, back to this South Korean park,
Yes.
which I'm now disappointed I can't pleasure my way through. Anyway.
Maybe you can, okay? I'm just saying I don't know about if there's anything like that. I tried to Google prices as well for it, and it seems like South Africans, the average price for a South African would be about 118 Rand for admission. So
so it's just a park. It's just a park you walk into
it's
then.
a huge theme park, an entire
Oh.
island. Which is basically...
Hold up.
Yeah.
They're literally using the word theme correctly.
Yes.
It's a park themed about sex.
Yes.
They
They are.
Do you get what I'm
South
saying?
Koreans,
Yeah.
After all.
Versus
Yeah.
the Western ideal of a theme park, which is roller coasters and stuff like that.
Literally, yeah. So granted, they have
Hmm.
rides, interactable stuff. You can like cranks that make things move and make two
Gonna get
things
cranked,
pop, basically.
y'all.
Yeah. And if you link through, we'll obviously link it for those listening and watching. The photos are beautiful. It's basically
Yeah, they are. The
art.
artworks are really
It's-
something nice.
Yeah. And it's all in celebration of sex and gender and just enjoying and not thinking of it as a taboo subject more than anything else. And
Yes.
I find it fascinating. Like there's this one artwork where the hand, it's a huge blue hand coming out, and then his middle finger is in a hole. It's beautiful. It's listen, humanity is ingenious, okay? Especially if it comes to sex and celebrating sex. And this is beautiful. Yeah. So I thought it's just worth mentioning. Ian,
No, that's cool.
for
Thank you.
sending
Thank
it
you
in.
for submitting it. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we've gone from happy, wonderful discussion to
listen.
penis aging woes, as
Yes.
Edward has written it here.
Yeah.
Things
so-
to consider if you're a man and you're aging.
well,
Thanks,
things
bitch.
that will happen. Things that is happening as we speak.
So
penis
I
aging
obviously
woes.
read through this
Yes,
before
obviously.
all of it. We share the content long beforehand, and at first I was like, because I'm like in my prime, I'm like middle aged, like, Edward, why are you sharing? And then I read it, and it's not for if you're in your 30s or 20s or 40s or even
Not
50s.
necessarily Remember,
Okay,
everyone's
not
different.
necessarily. Fine.
Okay.
More to do with like legit old age. So like,
Yeah.
I think it's 60 plus, where they talk about a lot of
Most of the topics.
the issues, if you want to call them that,
Yeah.
of old age and having
The
a
challenges.
penis.
The penis. I love that word.
Actually, you know what? You found this for men. I would love for you
Yes.
to find a vagina one.
I did try.
And let's
I couldn't
discuss that
find
in a
good
future episode.
source of vaginas, but I did find something that I might work into something else.
Okay, cool. Because I'm also genuinely curious about that now. I'd love to know. You know?
Yeah. Usually, when I find something for one gender, I try to look to keep
for
it
the other one
unisex,
as well.
because this is Gettle, and we love all the things. You know.
Everything. Nothing is off topic.
Exactly. Anyway, before I go into many taboo topics there, the topic at hand is the penis, and the penis at a certain age. Now, I found this post from Men's Health, which speaks about things you might want to expect when you age, things you shouldn't be ashamed of, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just 5 topics such as shrinking penises. So if you already have a little micro penis, you probably don't need to worry, because the shrinkage
There's nothing wrong with that. You're fine. You are loved.
I'm just saying,
and you
if
make
you
it work.
If you have one, at least you don't need to worry about it shrinking too much. It's just that it will happen. If you have a giant penis or a micro penis.
Okay, but bear in mind now, they're not talking about like 90% subtraction here. They're talking about it's minuscule. It's like 5%.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
It's only for much later on. Like,
yes,
this one in particular is 70, 80s plus.
No, actually, the scientist speaking, which is Dr. Steixner, which is an amazing name, he said that for every 30 pounds you shed, so this is trying to combat it, by the way, men over the age of 50 shouldn't see too much of a shrinkage.
Yeah.
So if you're healthy, you'll be fine. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay.
So it's a good thing to be healthy and to do exercise.
So Hans, you don't need to worry. Okay, if that is what you were worried about. On the other hand, though, the droopiness that happens in the scrotum, which is the ball sack, for those who don't know the medical term, the raisin below the cucumber.
Listen, this is legit fascinating to me.
Okay.
Because I'm not even that old, right?
Yeah.
I'm 35. I guess that is quite old. I have noticed this.
Drooping.
Yeah. Not like, I'm not talking about exponentially, like it's not about my knee or anything. But I mean, I've the other day I was like, that's hanging like a boss. And I was like
some turkey. The thing is,
no, but it's of course it's not like all the time, but like it would obviously make sense.
It's actually weird though. Like, on the topic of you noticing a droop, I've noticed that sometimes it doesn't droop at all, which is weird.
Yes, that too. Bear in mind, I'm not talking about this is not consistent. It's not like it's forever.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes
like
it's
that.
low, sometimes it's up top.
Yes, but I'm talking about though that when it's low, it's low. Lower than maybe I faintly ever recall.
Just have huge balls of iron, Hans. Okay?
Yeah, maybe I'm only noticing now.
Yeah, see? You're only coming into your own now, if you know what I mean. So,
look, it's possible I've only really noticed now.
Yeah.
Because we have mentioned things behind the scenes that we don't often talk about, or that we don't want to really admit. And one of those was I just went for a checkup the other day, and so maybe I'm just a bit more aware of it now. And then when I read this article, I was like, oh, is that me now? You know how it is, like when you read like this like psychological thing, you're like, do I have that now? Yeah. Or like when you read diseases on Google, it's like, am I dying?
Yeah, that's just how it goes. Like I remember when I watched Racing Stripes, which is a cool movie about zebra racing. Right after that, and I was obsessed with the movie, I started seeing zebras everywhere. Suddenly, all the trucks had zebra painted on it. All there were zebras in the farmlands we lived close by, everywhere. It's literally just the fact of noticing stuff. So I think maybe you were just always like a proper alpha male, you know. At the age of 50,
Hey, you said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah, at the age of 50 though, you might notice a little bit of a more droop, but not that much. In terms of shrinkage, that age of 50 is the shrinkage, age of 70 is the droop. So you're still good to go for another 40 years.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you very much. Good to know that it's all in my mind.
What might happen though at the time you're 60 to 70 is your penis curving a little bit more than usual. Okay, so
I see that here. Like one of the things was like it looked like the doctor said it looked like a question mark. I was like,
yeah, like how does that happen?
Highball.
Yeah.
How do you use that? Because
you hook. use it as a hook. Suddenly, all those pornos come into play. You know. So I don't know. That's weird, but also everyone's shaped differently anyway. So many people have a natural curve to them. Many people curve naturally upwards. Many people curve downwards. We spoke about that in a previous episode.
We have.
And yeah, you can expect maybe a little bit more of a curvature in your old age.
And then the last two are probably the most depressing
is the scary
of
ones.
the lot. Yeah, these are the ones where you're like,
So you might develop ED, which is erectile dysfunction.
We spoke about that in length in last week's episode.
We actually
did. It was a good one.
Which is sad. It's just a natural thing that happens to some people, apparently. Yeah. Obviously, there are meds to combat ED, which is amazing. So
that
you don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
But also, the guy mentioned that you don't have to worry about it at all because he has had patients in their 90s who still have perfect erections.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so good to know. That is so good to know.
Amazing, you know.
Look, I may be speaking out of turn, but I think the little bit that I have read is they do say that if you don't often have your morning woody, it's not cause for concern, but you should watch that.
That's one of the signs.
As you get older, yeah.
If you don't wake up with a hard-on, I guess, one of the signs of getting ED earlier in your life, not necessarily now, but getting it earlier is that.
Now, bear in mind, please don't take this as medical advice. This doesn't mean that like if you wake up once or twice and you don't have it, like, oh, whoa, life is over. Because that's not what we're saying. We're talking about like if it's an extended period of time, like a couple of weeks go by and you realize nothing's there anymore. Then, you should maybe be like, okay, let me go and see somebody.
Exactly. And then the last point this beautiful list mentions is penile cancer. Now, but it's not that
the cancer thing is normal for everybody, though.
Yes,
right.
It's just exactly. It's just that,
and especially for men, we have to be very careful about prostate and testicular. In much the same way that women have to be careful for breast cancer, as well as I think there is another one, and I'm sorry that I'm not as well informed as I wish I should be about it. And as men, we should start being tested at about 40. I started getting tested a lot earlier because my dad has a history of it. So they then recommended that from 35 onwards, you should be doing it. So that's why I get tested.
On that note, though, men also need to be aware of breast cancer. I know it sounds weird, but just feel yourself up every now and then. Know your own anatomy. Know where all your natural lumps lie. So when you get new lumps, it could be something else. Down below as well, in your scrotum, you can develop lumps.
My little lumps.
So just be aware of that. And on the topic of Hunter's lovely lady humps, I guess, That's the end of NSFW segment. It was much more informative this week, which I liked.
Look, it's informative every week, but I enjoyed this week. We had quite a few different things to talk about. Not as long as last week, which, as most of you might know, episode 48 / season 2, episode 6 was actually our longest episode ever. So if you did notice that, thank you for sticking all the way through. It seems this week we've managed to stick to a pretty good time. Although we are wrapping it up now. And for those of you who don't know, next week, which is going to be Gettle 50 or season 2, episode 8, is going to be our completely unedited version. Now, of course, when I say that, I don't mean, as I mentioned last week, I don't mean, obviously I have to edit it if I need to put the audio cues in and stuff like that. So it'll be unedited from when I'm like, hey, welcome to Gettle, all the way through to thank you for listening, goodbye.
Yeah.
That's at least what we're hoping to do. And as a great example, like today, for those who didn't know, because you won't see it because I'll obviously edit it out, but like my headset disconnected and I had a phone call which I forgot to mute my MacBook. So
stuff happens. The thing is, if a tank suddenly comes through my window and goes over me, we'll probably cut that.
We won't have an episode, Ed, because who's going to upload it?
I mean, you can get, I don't know, someone.
I'll have to get somebody to ignore your body and just pick up the damn recording.
Yeah, like just take the phone and take it to my house. I'll do the rest.
Yeah, just get the phone. Leave his body. Get the phone. We need this episode.
We have expectations.
Yes, our viewers are counting on us. Thank you everyone once again for tuning into another episode of Gettle. This was Gettle 49 season 2 episode 7. My name is Hans.
I'm Edward.
And thank you so much for being a part of Gettle. So we'll see you next week for our unedited episode.
With all of this. Bye.